I mean, it's really this sort of charade of her playing a part in a home that's not her own, with people that she doesn't quite know. Some of them are her friends, some are on payroll. I just didn't see the Meghan that I was expecting to see, and it was...
Can I just point something out as a parent with 6 kids? It's so nice to be a present parent. Yeah, whatever, love. Because, I don't have to work. It's Saturday. And then I'm just going to do a beautiful plate of fruit for my children. Let me tell you something, you deranged human being. There are parents who haven't got a millisecond to even have a shower, and she's talking about a beautiful plate of fruit. Try being in my house at 6 o'clock, man, you stupid woman. There's nobody on earth who's going to look at that and not go, you entitled, ridiculous person, Rupert, surely.
I think season 2 is going to get maybe the viewership of season 1 because things aren't moving for Meghan. Not the way they should be if she had a smash success of a show. And I'm going to demonstrate to you why I think that is and why this does spell, I think, a lot of trouble for her in the future.
A fucking Meghan Markle special, and it sobered me right up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
something
Maureen.
Killed your vibe.
Did you watch all episodes of this?
No.
Meghan Markle's Netflix empire just went up in flames, and the truth behind it is uglier than anyone imagined. What was billed as a raw, emotional look into her life has now been exposed as a carefully staged illusion. Leaked memos, fake tears, possibly even child actors. This wasn't a documentary. It was a high-budget performance, and now, the people who once backed her are running for the hills. Netflix is in damage control. Hollywood is pulling out. And even Prince Harry seems eerily silent.
I nearly entered rehab yesterday. That is the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen on television in my life. Somebody texted me and went, you don't use yogurt, you use cottage cheese, you twat. Honestly, I swear to God, just on a purely human level, as a man with 6 children who had to look after his children this weekend when his wife finally went away on her first girls' weekend, I nearly went to A&E on Monday morning. What mother or father in the name of sweet Jesus has enough time to create a fruit plate at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning when there's toast throwing around the room? And her kitchen was just sterile and awful, and I hate her. I'm so sorry, I really do.
Well, Netflix didn't just cancel her show. They're trying to contain a PR disaster. Internal memos now reportedly label Meghan a reputational liability. Her A-list friends have gone silent, and the public backlash is calling this one of the biggest scams in recent memory. It was the $100 million deal that promised to make Meghan Markle a global icon. Instead, it became the catastrophe that would expose her entire brand as a lie. Her golden opportunity to share an unfiltered truth with Netflix imploded into one of the most calculated illusions in recent memory. The plan was a docu-series with Love, Meghan, designed to erase the royal drama and crown her a queen of compassion. But behind the cameras, a production nightmare was unfolding. Insiders revealed Meghan wasn't just guiding her story, she was manufacturing a fantasy. She seized absolute control, reportedly ordering producers to rewrite history in real time, painting herself as a flawless, visionary martyr. Netflix executives, who had gambled their money on authenticity, grew horrified. They realized the project wasn't just a vanity piece, it was a carefully constructed deception. When the show finally aired, the public felt it too. The glowing image she had spent millions to build disintegrated in an instant. But the fake scenes and scripted narratives were just the beginning. The real scandal was what happened when the cameras stopped rolling. At first glance, with Love, Meghan appeared to showcase a compassionate, hands-on humanitarian, smiling with children, donating books, volunteering at community centers. It all seemed so heartfelt. But soon, cracks began to show. What viewers didn't know at the time was that many of those feel-good scenes were allegedly staged, and Netflix insiders weren't prepared for just how far it went. One production assistant blew the lid off the illusion, revealing that a scene featuring Meghan at a children's literacy center wasn't just exaggerated. It was entirely fake. The kids hired child actors, the locals volunteering alongside her, members of her own personal staff, dressed in generic clothes to blend in. Even the donations shown on camera were quietly returned once filming wrapped. And if that wasn't shocking enough, reports claimed Meghan had props like custom-labeled pretzel bags made for the shoot, an unnecessary detail that only added to the sense of artificiality. What was sold to Netflix as raw documentary footage turned out to be orchestrated, photo-op-style theater. For a platform that values truth-based storytelling, this was a betrayal. For viewers, it was an insult. And for Netflix executives, it was the beginning of a major crisis. But this wasn't the only truth Meghan had allegedly twisted. What came next shook the legal team to its core. As if fake charity scenes weren't damaging enough, Meghan's storytelling soon crossed a far more dangerous line: legal defamation. One episode outline allegedly featured Meghan accusing a senior royal of emotionally abandoning her while she was pregnant. It was framed as a heart-wrenching moment of betrayal, complete with a slow piano track and a long, dramatic pause. The implication was clear and the target obvious. But when Netflix's legal team reviewed the footage, something major was missing: evidence. No timeline, no documentation, no witnesses, nothing to back up the claim. Attorneys immediately flagged the segment as potentially libelous, warning that it could trigger a legal response from Buckingham Palace. And let's be honest, if there's one institution you don't want to go to war with legally, it's the British royal family. Netflix scrambled. The segment was quietly removed. No press release. No public explanation. But behind the scenes, panic had set in. The trust that once fueled this multi-million-dollar partnership was eroding fast. Worse still, this wasn't the only red flag. The legal team began combing through every episode, looking for other claims that could land them in court. What they found would expose something far more troubling: a consistent pattern of exaggeration, misrepresentation, and in some cases, outright fiction. But the fallout wasn't just legal. Meghan's own team was starting to fracture, and the atmosphere on set? It had become downright toxic. While the public was still reeling from staged scenes and legal controversies, the situation behind the cameras was already spiraling out of control. According to multiple crew members, working on with love, Meghan wasn't just stressful, it was suffocating. Anonymous insiders began speaking out, describing Meghan as a perfectionist in the most hostile sense of the word. They claimed she micromanaged everything, from lighting setups to line delivery, often rejecting professional input and rewriting scripts at the last minute. One assistant even said Meghan would berate staff publicly for minor oversights, creating an atmosphere of fear on set. It didn't take long for morale to collapse. Editors were frustrated by her constant creative interference. Producers found themselves overridden. Some described her attitude as Hollywood diva meets royal entitlement, a combination that made collaboration nearly impossible. Netflix eventually had to step in. Conflict resolution specialists were brought on to mediate what had become a deeply fractured team. But it was too late. Several key staffers refused to return for a second season, citing emotional exhaustion and a lack of professional respect. What was meant to be an empowering docuseries had turned into a backstage disaster. And as the team broke down, so did the integrity of the content itself. But nothing could have prepared Netflix for the next scandal, when Meghan's most emotional stories were exposed as borrowed fiction. In any documentary, authenticity is sacred, especially when you're baring your soul to the world. But in With Love, Meghan, some of the most tearful, vulnerable moments weren't just exaggerated. They may not have belonged to Meghan at all. It began with one scene that left audiences divided. Meghan, recounting a painful incident of racial profiling at a grocery store, spoke through tears about how the experience left her shaken and dehumanized. The moment was raw, powerful, and oddly familiar. Internet sleuths quickly traced the story's details to a viral Reddit post from 2017. The wording, setting, and emotional beats were nearly identical, right down to the description of the cashier's expression. The only real difference? Meghan claimed it as her own experience. That discovery opened the floodgates. Fact-checkers at Netflix started flagging other suspicious moments. Tearful anecdotes, childhood memories, Heartbreaking accounts of public mistreatment. Time and time again, Meghan's truth bore uncanny resemblance to content lifted from online forums, blogs, and even published memoirs. The term emotional plagiarism was whispered in editorial rooms. For Netflix, a platform that thrives on original, heartfelt storytelling, this was a betrayal of the highest order. Not just lazy scripting, not just exaggerated drama, but deliberate manipulation of the audience's empathy for views, sympathy, and control. And the worst part? It wasn't just the words that were faked. If viewers felt something wasn't quite right while watching with love, Meghan, they weren't wrong. Behind the show's soft lighting, moody music, and carefully timed tears, there was a secret toolkit being used, not to reveal the truth, but to manufacture it. One of the most widely shared clips from this series showed Meghan sitting in her living room, holding one of Archie's toys and softly crying. The camera lingered, the lighting dimmed, the music swelled. It was a picture of vulnerability. But there was just one problem. She never cried. A former editor revealed that Meghan didn't shed a single tear during the original shoot. The crying sounds? Added later. Background sniffles, soft sobs, even the emotional timing of her voice. It was all inserted during post-production. With sound layering, ambient music, and close-up shots, editors were reportedly instructed to enhance emotional depth, even if that emotion wasn't actually there. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. Dozens of other scenes were flagged internally for similar manipulations. Lighting was darkened to suggest sadness. Audio was slowed or looped to build tension. Silence was extended, not for drama, but to fill in gaps where real emotion was lacking. In short, Netflix didn't get a raw documentary. They got a scripted performance, polished to perfection. For viewers, it felt personal. For Netflix, it was deception at scale. And for Meghan, it was the moment her truth became indistinguishable from fiction. But while editors scrambled behind closed doors, the viewers were already turning away, and the numbers didn't lie. If Meghan Markle thought the controversy behind the scenes would stay quiet, she was sorely mistaken. As with Love, Meghan aired. The reaction was immediate and brutal. By episode 3, viewer drop-off rates had skyrocketed. According to internal Netflix data, over 60% of the audience tuned out halfway through the series. Algorithms flagged massive declines in engagement, with most viewers leaving during the very scenes meant to be the most emotional. The message was clear. People weren't just bored. They felt misled. Social media lit up with criticism. Longtime Sussex supporters voiced disappointment, saying the show felt less like a documentary and more like a vanity project. Critics slammed it as hollow, painfully scripted, and emotionally manipulative. One viral tweet summed up the general sentiment. This isn't a documentary. It's a performance piece starring Meghan as her own misunderstood idol. Netflix's marketing team tried to spin the backlash, but the damage was done. Viewer trust had crumbled. The same audience that once rallied behind Meghan's journey now questioned every word, every tear, and every scene. And then came the final blow, an internal leak that revealed what Netflix executives were really saying about her behind closed doors. While the public dragged with love, Meghan on social media, things inside Netflix were unraveling at warp speed. The tipping point? A leaked internal memo circulated among top executives that made one thing brutally clear. We can no longer treat Meghan Markle as an asset. She is a reputational liability. Those words hit like a sledgehammer. According to insiders, the memo detailed not just concerns about the show's quality, but its impact on the brand's credibility. Executives feared that continuing to associate with Meghan could trigger long-term damage to Netflix's reputation as a platform for truth-driven storytelling. The document allegedly cited her lack of narrative integrity, manipulative storytelling, and unsustainable backlash as key reasons to freeze all future content tied to her name. It also recommended an immediate legal review of existing footage to avoid defamation claims, particularly from the royal family. Behind the scenes, panic mode had set in. Meetings were hastily called. Legal advisors combed through episodes frame by frame. Senior producers began distancing themselves. Even Netflix's PR department, normally quick to defend talent, remained silent. The company had gone from proud partner to damage control in a matter of weeks. And just when they thought it couldn't get worse, another bombshell dropped. Questions around the footage of Meghan's children sparked fresh legal concerns that threatened to blow the lid off everything. Just when Netflix thought it had seen the worst, another scandal emerged, this time involving the most sensitive footage of all: Meghan's children. Scenes showing Archie and Lilibet were initially positioned as tender glimpses into Meghan's life as a mother, intimate, heartfelt, and deeply personal. But behind the scenes, Netflix's legal team was scrambling. According to insiders, several clips raised serious red flags about documentation, permissions, and authenticity. For starters, timestamps and production logs were missing. Location approvals were incomplete. Even more troubling, some executives reportedly feared that the children shown in certain scenes may not have been Archie and Lilibet at all. The theory? Stand-in child actors were possibly used to portray private family moments in controlled, staged environments. If true, this wouldn't just be deceptive. It could constitute a violation of child protection laws, especially in filmed media. The use of minors in any production is strictly regulated, and falsifying their identity without proper disclosure could lead to serious legal consequences. Netflix moved fast. Several scenes were quietly removed from the platform. Legal advisors issued a hard directive. No future content involving Meghan's children could proceed without airtight third-party oversight and full transparency. What was once billed as an honest look into Meghan's family life had become yet another credibility crisis, this time one that could have endangered the platform itself. But if that wasn't enough, another domino was about to fall. Meghan's own inner circle had turned their backs, and Hollywood was closing its doors. If Meghan Markle once held the golden ticket to Hollywood's inner circle with love, Meghan may have been the moment she dropped it and watched it burn. In the weeks following the documentary's release, whispers turned into headlines. A-list celebrities and prominent media figures began quietly stepping back from any association with Meghan. Some canceled podcast collaborations. Others pulled out of brand deals. One well-known actor, who had previously supported Meghan's advocacy work, reportedly told a producer, "I can't risk being tied to someone who weaponizes personal trauma for attention." The real kicker? Even Meghan's longtime allies, activists, stylists, former publicists started ghosting her. PR firms passed on representing her. Speaking engagements dried up. And suddenly, that highly anticipated book deal? Frozen in negotiations. According to one Hollywood agent, the problem wasn't just the documentary's failure, it was the feeling of being manipulated. Nobody wants to endorse a narrative that turns out to be manufactured. In this industry, credibility is currency, and Meghan's is bankrupt. Netflix wasn't the only studio getting cold feet. A rumored development deal with another major streaming platform was reportedly scrapped after internal vetting raised serious integrity concerns. Meghan had gambled big, betting that vulnerability, staged or not, would buy her long-term power in the entertainment world. But instead, her credibility collapsed under the weight of its own contradictions. What started as a glossy, tear-soaked docuseries meant to set the record straight turned into a cautionary tale about control, credibility, and the cost of overexposure. With Love, Meghan was supposed to reclaim her narrative. Instead, it exposed the very thing her critics had long suspected, an obsession with image over honesty and a willingness to blur the line between truth and performance. From staged scenes to emotional plagiarism, from internal chaos to abandoned partnerships, this wasn't just a PR failure. It was a collapse in real time. Even Prince Harry, once her fiercest defender, was said to be quietly devastated, retreating from public appearances and allegedly distancing himself from the creative direction of the project altogether. The royal rebel who left the crown to live his truth now finds himself caught in a web of scripted reality and reputational ruin. And for Meghan, the fallout may be irreversible. Hollywood isn't just turning away, it's shutting the door.
So, what do you think?
Is Meghan a misunderstood woman caught in a media storm, or a master manipulator who finally pushed too far? Let us know in the comments. And if you're tired of the polished lies and crave the real behind-the-scenes truth, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because this is just the beginning.